We have something a little bit special for this episode. This is going to be one single trip's worth of clips. We're going to Enfield from Basildon, and so much happened during this one trip that it's going to be all in one episode. Watch and see. So we're starting off with this van. As you can see, there's absolutely no one behind me, but this van wants to turn left at this next roundabout. So obviously they must get in front of me before cutting across straight over to the left-hand lane. Cannot fathom how or why they thought that that was a better idea than just slotting in behind the one car which was already in that lane. Here we have a car, not the car behind, but the one behind that, which is the subject of this clip. As you can see, we're going down the A127. I'm just going to tuck in after this Royal Mail van because I'm going to be wanting the M25 junction. So I move over, you see the red car there. Now watch this gap here now behind me and between the Royal Mail lorry. It's a decent sizable gap now, there's plenty of room to move over. You can surely see that it's quite busy. There's enough cars around and not making progress in that second lane to really get past me. So they've had all this time to move into that space, but they don't. We are coming up to a little junction here, so I can kind of forgive it. But now we're past that junction, you can see the big gap behind. Why don't they go into it now? You see the van does, but the red Audi, and yes, no surprise it's an Audi, doesn't, because they want to get that little bit further in front. You can see the Volkswagen goes off, and now the Audi starts to catch up with me. Again, you can see the big gap behind, and then they wait until the last moment, put on the indicator, and go straight from lane 2 over into the slip road. Or not quite straight into, but I mean, it's still a very late sort of move. When they really didn't have to. All they had to do was sit in the gap between me and the Royal Mail van. No idea why they had to do that. We haven't got far for the next clip. Joining the M25 on the slip road here, you've got firstly this van. Drives a little too close to me, to be honest, but then obviously had to go, like they're trying to get past. You can see the indicators on already. I'm pulling out because I want to get past the bus, and they have to squeeze into the small gap behind me in the black car over into that fourth lane to then really sit there and not overtake. And then you've got this black car here moving out again, and then the bus wants to move out at the same time the black car does, so they all move out. It was a right mess here, but it normally is on the M25 when you're coming away from a junction. But then we've got this grey Ford in the fourth lane. So yeah, I've gone past the lorries, I'm going to move over now, but I've got this car behind which decides that I think it's a Ford, it might even be a Toyota, I can't tell really from there. But guess which lane they actually do want. You see they're now in front on the front camera at the top. Where are they going to go now? I move over so I can overtake, and they slam on the brakes, cut across into lane 1. So why did they have to then overtake me there? Why didn't they just get into lane 1 earlier? I mean, it's just this must get in front syndrome, isn't it? And then you can see, I mean, they could have been there without any sort of issue in that first lane, without any problems, but there they are, and they're stuck behind the van anyway, I think. Yeah, there we go, there's the van. So how far did it really get them? All that faff and overtaking, undertaking, and so on. Still on the M25, Again, not got hugely far. We're coming up to the M11 junction. See, I've overtaken this lorry, but look who's dawdling in the third lane for no reason. Oh look, it's a German car. They do move over eventually as I continue on. There is stuff in front, so don't you worry. I also move over as the speed limit is going to go down to 40 miles an hour as soon. And as soon as it does go down to 40 miles an hour, you see they suddenly start catching up again for some reason. I wonder why. Now we've switched on the front camera, you can see the car or the truck which I was overtaking, and hence why I was still in lane 2. I'm sure people will still say I was lane hogging, but hey ho. And then in the distance, you can see the boards starting to come on, and then bang, there is the 40 mile an hour or 50 mile an hour sign. I think that was said 50. I didn't try and get down to 50, as you can see. There we go. But no one else around seems to react to that 50 mile an hour, and then the 40, I think it was a 40 mile an hour board further up, and they all seem to go a lot faster. Do the speed limits only seem to apply to me? And you can see there, it's 40 miles an hour, and then drop down to 40. And look, the van speeds past there. Are they going 40 miles an hour? Doesn't look like they are, does it? What about these cars which are catching up here, including the Mercedes van? Or is it a van? People carrier? I don't know. That Mercedes car, which you can see, I mean, I know the rear camera is a little small, but you can see it's the same Mercedes. It's catching up. It's not going 40 miles an hour. It is just about now. So, I mean, they're still in that second lane anyway. I get it if they want to keep on the M25 and not go on the M11, but so do I at this point. I'm not going on the M11. I do spot the national speed limit sign up ahead and then start going faster here and leave them for dust, and then finally move over to lane 1. And now we keep an eye on the car which is in the 4th lane. So again, who are they overtaking in lanes 2 and 3? I don't know. But then they make this move from lane 4 all the way to lane 1. Again, remind me, who was in lane 2 and 3 at the time there? Absolutely no one. So why did they choose to do that? Why did they have to be in lane 4 when they knew they were going to take the next exit for the M11? A little bit further down, and again, we've got a speed limit on the motorway, which a lot of people don't seem to want to stick to. So we're there going along at 60 miles an hour, one blast past, then more going past. The speed limit keeps decreasing because we're coming up to a lot of traffic at Enfield. I wonder why there's a big build-up when people can't regulate their speed as per the signs here. I mean, so many just go past without a care for the speed limit. So we've gotten past most of the traffic. As you can see, the M25 is seriously jammed up, which means this roundabout for the A10 is also jammed up. Now, where I want to go is down towards the Tottenham training ground, if you know where that is. So I need to get into kind of like the left lane and then the middle lane. So I want to go left but then right straight after. So you can see where it splits here. Could go into both lanes. I kind of hesitate for a little bit and then decide that actually no, the second lane is a better one to go into. Then I get that car speeding past and cutting across without indicating, and you can see the left arrow is available on this lane, and then you watch the other car who was speeding down in the wrong lane cut across again. Now this is an absolute shit show. of a roundabout in this case. So you can see the car decides to go through the red light into that lane. You can see it's jammed up. So the entry onto the M25 is completely blocked up, which is blocking up this lane to turn left, which I need to go right after I've turned left. And you can just watch and see the complete nightmare that the traffic causes. I mean, there's a green light here. Can I really go anywhere? Not really, but I try. I move forward a little bit as I can see a little bit of movement. But then everyone else kind of follows behind. And we are getting nowhere. Lots of people decide to switch into the first lane, which you'll see causes problems later. More of a shit show carries on. As you can see here, I've sped it up a little bit by about 2.5 times, just so you can see the absolute menace where everyone's all over the place. People don't seem to care about the lanes anymore. They're creating their own lanes. They're switching lanes, cutting people up. You've got people still on the roundabout trying to get off the roundabout. You've got people in this lane giving up and going into the first lane, which again causes problems later, which you will see. And then in the end, I decide to do the same. We go back to 1 times speed here, because I can see this isn't moving because of the people trying to exit onto the M25. Because I want to go left and then right. You can see there's a gap. And so now that it's kind of clear-ish in those lanes, I want to then move over into that right-hand lane where you can see there's a queue. But we've got this silver car which wants to get back onto the roundabout. So they were in completely the wrong lane, just trying to cut across and queue jump. So I'm kind of stuck with people flowing in the first lane. I can't move. The second lane's blocked behind anyway, so you can see that in the rear. But I'm a bit stuck. Now the other one's moving. The silver car doesn't move, so it's clear that it's wanting to go on the back onto the M25. I then move over and get into the correct lane that I need. However, you can see from the second lane already there are a load of cars which are now indicating to go right. And you see this constantly throughout the next bit, which I'm going to speed up so it isn't too long. But you can see there's a gap behind me. People can get into the lane. This van behind does, but they won't stay there for very long because everyone else is queue jumping, which means this lane does not move because of all the queue jumpers in that lane too, trying to get into this lane. We continue sped up about 3 times the speed, so you can see how slowly we are going. And just keep an eye on the blue van behind. You can see that they get bored of sitting in this lane. Now we barely move forward, and their wheels turn. Oh look, and they indicate out. Do they want to go left, or do they want to go into a different lane? Of course not. Of course not. They are trying to cut in ahead. They then go even further down before cutting in. And look at even more people join. You see here all of these people in the second lane. They now block up the second lane for those who actually do want to go straight at the lights, because they all want to get into this one lane. They are now stopping this lane from moving because of the constant flow of people cutting in front. Well, if they got into this lane at the beginning without cutting in, there may have been a little bit of a hold up again towards the roundabout, but it would be flowing a lot better than it is now. You can see more people giving up, going even further down and then cutting in. It's just a constant flow. I mean, I don't know what more to say. I mean, how many can you see? Literally, I would be amazed if someone could count all the people who do cut in front from that lane 2 that you can actually see, and let me know the number in the comments. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, 20, 30, maybe 40, possibly more. Because I mean, even those in the first lane which are moving now, you can see it indicating across and then trying to cut in. And there's so many which just give up trying to cutting in early and then just go all the way down to cut in further down. We're still going again. Sorry for the rear camera changing a little bit. I can't keep it consistent. But you can see again another car from lane 1 this time decides to cut all the way across to try and cut in. We've got the van here trying to cut in. And look, all it does is block it up for people who actually do want that lane. And I'm sticking to the front, or to the back of this car in front, making it clear that I am not letting people in. I've been sitting in this queue probably for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, while all these self-entitled people cut in. And it's not, oh, they could be in the wrong lane and so on. These people know what they're doing. Because what they could do is continue on and then find another way to come back. But they don't. They make a conscious decision to cut in front of people who have been waiting. They're just arseholes, to be honest. And again, I'm picking on the German car, the BMW there, just sitting, again, blocking up. Not one, but like 2 lanes there. They were blocking up to cut in front, and they do. They get in front. This white car, again, they want to go. They then decide to move around and then continue on. This car next to me, look how they're positioned. They're again trying to get in front. I'm not having any of it. Now this has continued constantly throughout the whole thing. You can see how long we've been sitting here. Have a look at the time and comment how long it's actually been. But you can see more people, again, cutting into that lane to try and cut over. People behind, you can see the queue. There are people just indicating in. It's ridiculous, and it continues for such a long time. These are sped up 3 times. This is 3 times speed. You can see how long it takes. But the other thing to keep an eye on is the other side. So these are 4-way lights. When we move, there shouldn't be anyone coming on the other side of the road because we can turn right. So what it is people are coming off into this lane, filling up this lane to then turn right and do a U-turn at the lights to get back on towards the M25. That's why this lane is so jammed up. You can see we're moving. There shouldn't be anyone on the other side, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, loads. Okay, maybe the lights changed there for that one, but keep an eye on it because you see the 2 cars in front of me. Watch what they do. Again, you can see how many cars here want to get in. It's a bit less at this sort of stage here, but you've still got some who do want to get into this lane, which is why they don't move when the lights change. You can see lane 1 and lane 2 moving. Why is lane 3 not moving? It's because people want to cut in. Now you'd think we are now pretty much safe. You can see the 3rd lane is moving. You got the little split and dashed lines. You'd think we'd be quite safe, but no. There's one more car which tries to cut in. Here they come now. The cheek of them, literally going all the way down and expecting to be pulled in. Now, annoyingly, what this doesn't pick up is that they pull alongside me, they wind down their window. The woman in the car flicks the hair and tries to ask for me to come to let them in. My window stays up. I have my wife in the car. And I move forward, just laughing at them. What an absolute joke. expecting to just flirt your way in front of people like that. Oh my god. What an absolute joke. We are now back at 3 times speed. We did have a brief period where that car did move alongside, where we went back to 1. Now watch these 2 cars here. They do U-turns. And watch some more cars as they do U-turns as well. People have caused such a mess from just trying to get in front of other people in a queue. It's an absolute joke. They've made that bit so much worse because they couldn't sit in the queue on the roundabout. You know, they had to try and worm their way in front of other people. It's an absolute joke. It really is. Finally, we're on the way back from our trip to Enfield, and we have some typical M25 lane hoggers. So I am catching in lane 1. I'm supposed to be in lane 1 because that's where you're supposed to drive, but we have these 2 lane hoggers there. And then I noticed just up ahead that there is 50 miles an hour, which you couldn't see when I was going past them on the inside. So that can't be why they were in that lane. Finally see that, so we move over. And then that's fine. But again, we have the same sort of issue where people can't seem to go the speed limit. The majority of those around us are, but again, in lane 4, we have those who do not like to obey the speed limit. What we're looking at here is the car which comes down lane 1. So there's a couple of things. Obviously, there is still traffic. It's still 50 miles an hour. And I do not want the M11 junction, which is coming up. So I am staying in this lane. Also, there is a lorry in front. So, they've been slowing down, speeding up, yada, yada, yada. I keep growing and closing the gap because they cannot keep the same sort of speed. I'm on the speed, what do you call it? Not the speed limit, the cruise control for 50 miles an hour. So you can see the car in lane 1 now draws alongside and then passes the car in lane 2. While here you can see lane 3 and 4 are pretty empty. So I don't know why they've chosen lane 1 to undertake. They then pull ahead of me and then cut across me here. So I grow the gap because I am not in the mood to deal with idiots. And you can tell now, okay, if you wanted to overtake, why didn't you go in 3rd lane like these cars here, even though it is still 50 miles an hour. I'm going to go a little bit faster because we've got the national speed limit signs up ahead, as you can see. But they now move to lane 4 to overtake cars again. The kicker is, annoyingly, this video clip does stop short, but they move over to lane 3 and then again and cut people up to get back to lane 1. They got nowhere. And to finish off this mammoth episode all in one day's driving, we have this car who decides that they don't need to stop at giveaways for anyone and just joins in front of me. Luckily enough, I was going at slow enough speed and they joined at such a speed that they didn't even inconvenience me. Which a lot of you will probably be like, oh well, that's fine then, why is that an issue? They shouldn't have joined at that speed to begin with. They should have looked, saw that I was, pretty damn close and stopped and given way. But, each to their own. Yeah, each to their own. I mean, some may disagree with me on that one, but that's what I think. Luckily, it didn't inconvenience me, but it's still a bit of bad driving. Hope you enjoyed this mammoth episode and the absolute nightmare of the A10 M25 junction when there's traffic on the M25. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, put anything in the comments.